Who are your guys' top 5 quarterbacks playing right now? Now in the league, but you're gonna leave out Rodgers. You're gonna leave out Brady.
I got mine right now. I don't even have to think about it. I
Go
got
ahead. No, no.
Mahomes.
And I want you to go 1 to 5 and tell me which one is the closest to Mahomes.
I think Burrow's the closest to Mahomes because, like I said last time, Josh Allen makes too many mistakes, and those are the only two that are really actually close to him right now. But for me, it's easy. I got Mahomes 1, Burrow 2. Honestly, after the playoffs, I got Trevor Lawrence 3. I got Josh Allen 4, and then I got Jalen Hurts 5. And Jalen Hurts might even go up above Josh Allen because it's like, what has Josh Allen done in the last 2 years? Yes, he had one. He had one of the greatest playoff games against Kansas City, and still didn't get it done. So I mean, honestly, yeah, I'll put Hurts at 4 and Josh Allen at 5.
Okay, Amos.
I think the QB position is one of the true positions that fluctuates so much. Besides for like the top position, basically, obviously it's Mahomes, number one. After Mahomes, though, to me, it's a gluttony of guys. Honestly, KJ basically said my list, but not my order. I wouldn't have Trevor Lawrence though top 5. I can't give Trevor Lawrence top 5 just yet. Because let's be honest, first year he was really bad, like really bad. Second year, he like first half of the season he was okay, and then second half he really started progressing and being really better. So he did have a fire season. The second half for sure he was on fire, really good. But I just can't give him top 5 just yet, especially when you have so many QBs that have been really good a lot of years. So theoretically, for example, you have Mahomes number 1. I probably will go Joe Burrow number 2. Number 3. Honestly, I'm still probably gonna go Josh Allen. I really am. I get he's had his issues, but I just think what he can do on the football field, no running game. He is the running game. His powerful arm, and again, we're all arguments semantics. It's all close, right? It's. I think they're all so close. Like for example, I have Josh Allen number 3, and I think Burrow. I think he's really close to Burrow, who's number 2. So that's 3. I'll go Hurts number 4, and I'll probably go Justin Herbert 5. I mean that guy. I mean, for example, Herbert, his talent is absurd. And he's, I mean, yeah, we're talking about Trevor Lawrence. I mean, look at Justin Herbert, right? His potential, his arm strength is ridiculous. And so that would probably be my top 5. Although Trevor Lawrence is close, though, I do feel like I'm missing someone, man. So
Lamar.
I do Lamar Jackson. I'm thinking I knew there was one person. So Lamar Jackson, because yeah. Oh, so give me Lamar Jackson. I'm glad you said thanks for saying Lamar Jackson. I'll say number 5. I'll say Herbert at 6.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You, Alan. Or yeah, you can go.
Go ahead, Alan.
You want me to go?
Yeah.
So, yeah, everybody knows that Mahomes is head and shoulders above everybody else in the league. I would put Burrows at 2. I would put Hurts at 3.
It's kind of hard.
And I love Josh, but I think I would probably go with Herbert at 4 and then Allen at 5.
I love him some Herbert.
Okay. Well,
the numbers speak for themselves, though, man. That's the only reason why I have him. So that's the only reason why I picked them to win against Jacksonville, was because he's just been so consistent through the regular season. But again, he might just end up being like Aaron Rodgers, being a great regular season quarterback and doing nothing in the postseason. So
I feel like I don't know. like a Philip Rivers.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that would be the same example.
I struggle with Justin Herbert though, because as you guys probably know, where he was really good this season, but he had so many injuries, right? His receivers, Keenan Allen was out half the year it seemed like. Mike Williams, and he's gone. And Mike Williams was always hurt. They don't really have a consistent tight end other than the guy that came from Seattle. spacing on his name,
Joe.
Everett. And then the running back's really good. The running back is really good, but even the running back, he's more of a catch and run type of guy, right?
Yeah, he's more of a
So because of that, especially late in the year, Herbert kind of struggled a little bit, but it wasn't really his fault, man. His receivers, like Josh Palmer was his best receiver, right? So it's hard for me to blame him. So it's also I have maybe at number 6 behind Lamar Jackson, who's already had Lamar's had what, 1 MVP or 2?
One.
And he did he come in 2nd place or 3rd place another year?
Maybe, I don't know for sure.
But anyway, so he already has a year an MVP. So it's like I gotta give him put him ahead, in my opinion. But it's so cool.
And I like all you guys' picks. All you guys' picks, to me, were very, most. So the reason I ask is last night, shout out to my boy Mo. He works with us. You guys all know who he is. We had a long conversation last night, and he made me think. So Patrick Mahomes, of course, number 1, clear number 1.
I bet
Number
you
2,
said Kirk Cousins, huh?
But he was gonna say Kirk Cousins, but he didn't. Josh Allen, number 2, ahead of Joe Burrow. The only reason I say Josh Allen 2 now, because the only thing that's missing with him is his IQ. If he had a little bit of better IQ, not trying to show off, let's be real, he would have.
Bro,
He would have. He can make a lot of plays. He can do everything. He don't have stars on that offense. He has 1 receiver, Stephon Diggs. Who's his running game? Who's his receiving core? He has one. So
he's the running game.
And look at Joe Burrow. He has talent on
two top receivers,
and
running back, running game.
A pretty good
2 good running backs. So you can't.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like you can't. And I was glad that Alan said, "Yeah, you picked him at the beginning because everything." But at the same time, if you don't have that help that has, Joe Burrow has. Imagine if Josh Allen had the talent that Joe Burrow had. We will be talking different about these guys. It's so close.
Well, that's not the case, though. It's Joe Burrow. Josh Allen has the talent. He doesn't have the IQ.
No, but you don't have the talent. You don't have the talent.
He's talking about the talent around him, bro.
You're talking about the support.
He's got a running game.
I thought you meant his
talent
himself.
No. I'm talking about the support.
But to your point, too, and it's also why I had Burrow 2, Allen 3. So I think I probably had Allen the highest, other than you now, right? Going number 2, right? And I just think it's so stupid close. The reason why I got to go Burrow is simply due to his playoff success the last 2 years. You know what I'm saying? But that's the big elephant in the room, to your point. He had better talent on offense, at least. Burrow, he did 2 years. But I still have to go off of Burrow taking a franchise like the Bengals. Yes. Never won, right? And so that's why, but so close, Efren. But I agree. I think Allen and Burrow, for example, this season, right?
Yeah.
No one would have said Burrow was better than Allen week 6. You know what I'm saying, though? No one would have said that. And so to me, that's why it's so close. And so like next season, it could be Allen, maybe Burrow, right? I just think it's so close when you're nitpicking a little bit, right?
For me, it's just.
Oh,
go ahead.
So let me just finish it off like that. We can talk. So like I said, went Josh Allen, number 2, Burrow, number 3, but that changed after Sunday. I put Jalen at number 3.
That's fair.
Jalen Hurts proved that he is one of the top elite quarterbacks. He's in the NFC East. At first I didn't believe he can throw, he can overthrow. People said, let this guy play quarterback and you'll beat him. Man, this guy, he had people scared. He had people worried in that Super Bowl. And that proved it that, I feel it's going to be, for me, it's Pat, Allen, Hurts, Burrow, and my 5th is Trevor Lawrence. I had to put him in there. But, Jalen proved it to me. He's proven in the last 2 years that he's played. Same thing. But he has talent as well. Like Burrow does. I just feel like Burrow's had the success in the playoffs, but it's been the last 2 years. He's had great chemistry with this offense that he's had for the first 2 years. That's why I'm waiting for some of his players to go down. Not in a bad way, but I want to see if he can do it by
League or
himself.
free agency, and kind of like
Yeah.
Mahomes did this year. The only
Yeah.
reason why I say that Burrow is better than Allen was because Allen struggled to beat a Miami team with a third string quarterback in the playoffs. First week
Remember,
of the playoffs.
they were up 3 touchdowns that game, or 2 touchdowns, and he started making he started making dumb plays. But that's also the offensive coordinator's fault. Why don't you just run the ball?
Because they have no run game, like Amos said. If you
Yeah.
can't get first downs, what's the point? He runs, he's good, but
That's what I'm saying.
Singletary's
But,
not that great.
but do you see what I'm saying?
But
I
why
don't
not
know.
dink and dunk?
I know, but you because they're going to adjust to that. That defense would adjust to that. You play. This is you remember you play in the AFC East against them. It's hard to beat a team 3 times in a row, or 2 times even in the regular season. You're facing them 3 times.
And they lost
You
one.
know, Huh?
And didn't
Yeah, Miami
Diggs kind
won.
of disappear at
But
the
remember,
end of
they
the
were
year
up.
too?
Miami had to come back.
No, I'm
And
saying their first game they lost to Miami because Miami it was like one of those crazy stats where like Josh Allen threw the ball 60, 70 times and
Yeah,
Tua
because
only
they
threw
had-
like 10.
No, but the thing
But-
is, Miami had to come back in that game as well.
And that's and effort. Not to mention, let's be real too. It's a divisional game, right? Divisional
Yeah.
game. Anything happens, man. Like
Yeah,
you
anything.
know
And also
so well.
their defense is always disappearing in the playoffs.
But look
But-
at against Baltimore. So how are you going to give props to Joe Burrow against the Ravens defense if Baltimore scores that touchdown on the 1 yard line? Are we really talking about Joe Burrow?
I feel
This
like we
year-
are because you got to realize this
How?
wasn't
They lose.
wasn't
they
he
lose
wasn't the Dolphins quarterback, wasn't he a rookie? Huntley has played like the last 6 games last season
But it
for
doesn't
them.
matter. You still like you have, but the thing is, you're going to a divisional game. It's a divisional game for all 3 of them.
But what I'm saying is that Huntley has experience with his team. It wouldn't have been as much a surprise if they won versus the Dolphins beating them with a rookie who's playing his 3rd game as a starter.
True, I understand what you're saying, but it's still a divisional game. Your defense knows what they're doing.
That's
They
true.
were on the 1 yard line. It's not like Miami. It's not like Miami was on the 1 yard line about to score against Buffalo and what's it called? You understand? That's what I'm trying to say. Like,
I mean, for example, Efren, it's a divisional game, right? The Broncos, they were trash, terrible, one of the worst teams in the league this year, right? They almost beat the Chiefs twice this season, who is the best team in the league, you know? So it's hard to really to
And they
point
beat
out
the
one.
Niners, which was funny.
They,
But
they,
the
they
thing
did-
that
yeah.
I think that one thing that we're overlooking is that Miami has a lot of talent on their team.
They do. It's just
They
what is their
do. They have a
quarterback
lot
gonna
more
be?
talent on both sides of the ball than Baltimore did.
They have a lot
And
of back.
Baltimore still had a chance to win that game.
That's what I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to say. Like Miami had skill players, defense and offense. Who did Baltimore have that they had to throw to? Who did Huntley have really that game? He was just throwing to his tight ends. Mark Andrews against Cincinnati. Yeah, Cincinnati won that game at the end because of that fumble. Took it all in the house. But like I'm saying, if Baltimore scores that touchdown, Joe Burrow wasn't doing nothing against that defense. If you actually look at it,
As I'm looking right now, they didn't. I mean, we can go back and forth about this, but the Bills didn't score a single point in the 4th quarter. They got shut down in the 4th quarter. They could have, like you said, the tipping on the 1 yard line, a field goal by Buffalo wins this game, or by Miami ties this game and goes into overtime. They got lucky.
I think you're still overlooking the fact that Miami played them tough all 3 games.
They did, and
They
that's
played-
why
I mean,
I
came
told
back
Javen
beat
at
them in the
work.
first game in Miami, right?
I told Javen at work that they had if it was any other team, I would have more faith in them. And I thought that the Bills were gonna have a tough time with Miami and then smoke through. But then to have a close game with Miami and then to lose by 17 to the Bengals in your home stadium when it's snowing, it's your weather. You play in this all the time, and to lose to them by 17, it just seemed
3 weeks prior to that, they did the same thing.
to who the
to
Bengals.
Oh, you're talking about this. You're talking about Cincinnati, right?
Yeah, Cincinnati when it was
Okay.
snowing, they scored 27-10 and they only scored 10 points in your weather. their weather.
Yeah.
I understand, but
Yeah.
the thing is, I understand what you're saying. Right? But a lot of the players were beat up for Buffalo already, coming from Miami
True.
after the Miami cities.
And you got to remember that Cincinnati is a different breed in the postseason. They don't feel like they're underdogs to anybody. And to be honest with you, the way that Buffalo finished the season, they should have lost that game to Cincinnati.
And like I said, that's the only reason why I have Joe Burrow above him. Like, and yeah, I have a couple people in between them, but that's the reason why. Like at the beginning of the season, I thought the Bills were going to win it, and I thought that Josh Allen was the second best quarterback in the league. It seemed like he fell off some point during the middle of the season, and then he tried to regain it, and then when the playoffs came, the whole team choked.
Well, but you got to remember too that they lost the heart of that team. What, in week 11? When did Vaughn go down?
And that was going to be my point, Alan. And we've kind of dragged this discussion on way too long, but that was my point, right? They've lost so many guys. They lost their best defender. Yeah. They lost both safeties. Then they lost Hamlin, who was their backup safety. Like the defense was absolutely devastated with injuries. And then obviously that goes without saying. We've already said lack of running game. Gabe Davis absolutely disappears. He can be really good one game and then just do nothing the next game. Knox is all right, but yeah, they just. Why do we have such high? My question is, why do we have such high expectations on the Bills? Right? It's because of their defense and Josh Allen, right? That's why we have expectations, because of them. So I think that shows you why Josh Allen is elite. So yeah, I hear it's close. It is close between those two.
Nice. That's all I wanted to know. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for answering. Great. Talk about all those quarterbacks. They're all great quarterbacks. I'm glad that we get to see this greatness.
Yeah, that brings up something else, and that might be a subject for another time. But I was reading something about contracts, and they were saying that Mahomes could be like as soon as next year, he could be like 5 or 6, and then the following year he could be like 9, 10, 11 as far as yearly money goes, because these kids that we're talking about are coming up for contracts. Burrows, Herbert, there's a bunch of guys that are going to be getting some big contracts. And
I agree to that to an extent, Alan. I think you're right. Well, yeah, those elite QBs you said, you're right. I do agree to that to an extent. But I also think a lot of teams are also learning from their mistake, because again, it's now out there since really Joe Flacco, right? That hey, yes, we get that you need a QB, but you can't just because he's a QB, you can't pay him $25 to $30 million a year. You don't really want to have a guy who's making top 10, because a top 10 salary money as a QB, because again, they don't make it to the Super Bowl, and they just finally did. That was because of Patrick Mahomes. And so I do agree to an extent, like the elite guys, but I would think teams out there are going to be smart. And again, if you have a guy who is, a top 10, top 12 QB, I would hope these QB or these teams have the patience and the discipline not to give him a top 5 contract. And if you really feel like you have to, then try to trade him then, because to me, there's just way too many QBs out there that are making top 5, top 6, top 7 money that have no business making that type of money.
Straight up.